Okay, so in that case,
Commander, you've received a new message at your private terminal.
well, hopefully that isn't the elusive man talking about how he is displeased with that most recent decision. We may be about to find out. Okay, let's see. Oh, did we not? Maybe we are not marking some of our messages as read, because we're definitely seeing some ones that we have seen in the past. Let's see. An amazing find by Dr. Richard Talos, curator, Alliance Museum of Galactic Exploration, Earth. Commander Shepard, you have our thanks for recovering the data from the MSV Estevanico. Ah, right. Okay. Yep, the teetering on the edge ship that we got some data from and then escaped right as it was about to fall off into the abyss. The data shows that the ship was attacked and overrun by blood-pack mercenaries and Vorcha soldiers. According to the dated records, this was the first Alliance crew to encounter the Vorcha. Wow, really? I mean, we didn't see them at all in Mass Effect 1, and I suppose we only started to see them on, once we started going deep into the Terminus systems. So, I suppose if they're only around, in and around Omega, then maybe that does make some sense that Alliance just hadn't run into them before, but it does seem a little bit odd, because they are quite numerous on Omega, it seemed. How frightened they must have been. We are sending salvage crews now to recover whatever they can for the museum. Thank you again for your dedication. Nice. Okay, so let's mark it as read. Make sure we do that. Another message, this time from Alliance Command. Commander, we got the data you sent. If this went public, it could do some serious damage to Cerberus' image. This intel will take years to decode, but just having it is a huge win for the Alliance. Well done, Shepard. Good luck on your mission. From Anderson as well. Nice. You're alive? From Mom! So I have to find out my child is alive, third hand, from Alliance Brass? Where the hell have you been? I figure whatever you've been doing is classified, likely part of your Spectre operations. Just stay safe out there, and keep doing your mom proud. And sneak something through a secure channel next time. Love, your mom, Captain Hannah. Aww, thanks, Mom. A gift of words. Consort Shaira. Of course, the consort from Mass Effect 1, who we got some advice from relatively early on in Mass Effect 1. Commander, I thought that my gift of words had been incorrect, an embarrassing notion, but my contacts tell me you yet survive. I am pleased to hear that your journey continues, though I sense that you head toward an even deeper darkness. When you fought Saren, only your resolve was tested, but now I fear you cannot rely only on your own strength. Take whatever steps you must to ensure that those battling at your side fight with clear minds and glad hearts. Be well, Consort Shaira. And that is, well, that's an interesting argument that she's making there, that it's not just down to us as Commander Shepard, but also down to our teammates as well. That is, something we'll need to bear in mind going forward. You and Garrus are alive, from Dr. Chloe Michelle. Dear Commander Shepard, Chloe Michelle, of course, the doctor we saw on the Citadel in Mass Effect 1 that we rescued at least twice from seemingly a never-ending wave of bandits or whatnot that kept on trying to raid her clinic, and the one who eventually gave us the discount at her clinic, so we were able to engage in some credit, not credit laundering systems, but let's just say there was a way to get an infinite number of credits from her in Mass Effect 1. I was relieved to hear that you were alive. I was devastated to hear of the destruction of the Normandy and those people who didn't make it off in time. After you went missing, and were presumed dead, I feared I'd never see you or Garrus ever again, and we met Garrus initially, that first time when we were saving her. You and he did so much to help clean up the wards when you were hunting for Saren. The galaxy needs more people like you, and I'm glad that you're still here to protect those of us who've grown to depend upon you both. Is Garrus with you again, by any chance? After being so happy to hear of your survival, I wondered if perhaps he might have ended up with you. I left a few messages on his public accounts, but you know how he is about checking his mail, and I don't think the comm address I had for him works anymore, because he hasn't returned any calls. Garrus! You know how he is. He's not the best at checking his text messages. Always so busy with his grand crusades, his great passions, that he focuses on them to the exclusion of anything or anyone else. Anyway, if you know where he might be, I would really love to hear from him. Or both, if you could, or both of you could come by the next time you're near the Citadel. Thanks, Chloe Michelle. Alright, then we have an untitled message from Error Invalid Sender Name. What is this? Hey Shepard, I heard I have you to thank for giving out a purgatory. Sent a ship to round me up. They didn't weapons check good enough. I'm gonna carve your name instead of mine into my next victims as thanks. Got anyone you need dead? Haha. You did take a shot at me though, on my way out, so I have to kill you. You know how it goes. Dad taught me that you let anybody hurt you. They get ideas, so you make sure to send a message. Not like I'm sending now, though. See you around. The people who live here are coming back, and it's showtime. Look around for your name. I'll make sure you find it before I find you. Billy. Yeah, so, you know, when we broke Jack out from Purgatory, there were, of course, other criminals there, and as you may remember from one of the prisoners that we were talking to, said that he had killed 20 people or so, and that he was a relatively minor murderer compared to the other people locked up in Purgatory. So, well, this person, yeah, is probably, by the looks of things, also a serial killer who is going to casually carve our name in the head of their next victim for us. So, well, that's great. That's just great. Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. Well, let's see. We did load up a fair bit on not so much research options, but resources with which to do research. So I'm wondering if we might have something else that is now possible for us to upgrade, although perhaps... Oh, I don't even remember shotgun extra rounds being a thing. Let's see. It would give shotguns, heavy shotguns, and assault shotguns double their rounds. That would be helpful, because our Get Plasma shotgun blows through its ammo very quickly. So that would be helpful. It affects both us and our squad mates. I actually don't remember if our squad mates have ammo. Or not. I'm not sure. More efficient heatsink materials improve the absorption and dissipation of heat. Allows for smaller, easier to carry heat sinks. So we do need one more shotgun damage upgrade before we can do that, though. Unfortunately. So, okay, nothing that we can do for weapons at the moment. And likewise, for armor. With enhancements, we can afford either the armor or the enhanced mineral scanner, but I think those things are not terribly important at the moment. Prototypes, this may be in the next highest priority thing, and, or at least certainly things that we could actually improve in this case. Thinking we probably avoid armor for now, because I do like the armor that we picked up recently, and maybe better than our alternatives here, or at least better for our build that we're running. And, but from a weapons standpoint, let's see, we can get the Eviscerator shotgun, the Avalanche, which is a heavy weapon, the Missile Launcher, which is a heavy weapon, and I think we were eyeing Morden's Omni Tool before, but we opted not to do it, or may have just forgotten to do it, so I think we go for this, because we've, especially recently, loaded up on a fair bit of Element Zero. This is not so expensive. Let's go for it. I'm not sure. By any chance...
How can I help?
Does Morden have anything to say about that? I don't think so.
Have you got a minute to talk?
Not now. Working on collector data. Have ruled out artificially intelligent virus. Unless it's very intelligent. And toying with me. Tests. Anything else?
No, that's all. But thanks, Morden.
We'll be here if you need me.
Okay. Ooh. And actually, come to think of it, we did recently get Morden as well. Have we used him on any missions yet? I'm not sure if we have. So we'd like to get the chance to do that soon, I suppose. But anyways, that is another side mission for us to check off our list. And so we could either continue to explore the galaxy and try to find out if we can encounter other side quests, which might be worth doing. Or we could go and look at other main missions here. We have Kasumi's loyalty mission, Stealing Memory. Same with Zaid, his loyalty mission, The Price of Revenge. Or we could try to recruit either Archangel or the Warlord. I'm thinking, let's try doing a little bit more exploration here now. Because we did have, I thought, one other system, yeah, Batala, which we had not explored at all. Let's see if there's anything of interest over there, and it is way down here. Point where this is going to use up a lot of fuel. Makes me a little nervous. But we loaded up preemptively, so we should be doing pretty okay from that standpoint. This system, very spread out at the very least. So where is this planet over here? Let's see. Nirog is a hydrogen-methane gas giant whose moons were once home to Essel, a Batarian warlord who terrorized the Terminus systems. Attempting to unite a pirate army under his banner, he successfully conducted a rapid blitz against 11 habitable planets. Fortunately for the rest of the galaxy, Essel's crimes caught the attention of the Spectres, who deduced his hidden location and assassinated him. Essel's empire, built on hyperextended army, soon came crashing down. His lost stockpiles of Element Zero have become something of a legend, and foolish spacers have spent countless amounts of time and money searching the Batala system, convinced they will be the ones to finally strike it rich. I mean, if you have good qualities of Element Zero here, that's what that means, then I'm interested. It is only a moderate planet in terms of the amount of resources here, so I think for anything other than Element Zero, probably not going to be terribly interested. That's still not very good. So, just seeing. That's like almost okay. I start seeing a little bit of Element Zero coming up there. A tiny bit for a second. Might be slightly above zero. But, no. Let's check the more northern section, but based on the complete lack of Element Zero thus far, I think maybe us checking here just makes us one more person that you can add to the list of people trying to strike it rich on that Element Zero deposit that may not exist. May not exist. So let's see. Other than that, we have this planet here. Wanaru, a strange island of peace in the lawless Terminus systems. Wanaru is a planet of crushing gravity but abundant life. As its ponderous name indicates, it was colonized by the Elcor, who have several booming industries on the planet. Hydroelectric dams and biofuel from tough, woody algae provide much of the planet's energy. Mines export uranium, thorium, and gold, taken to space with generous use of mass effect fields. Of course, pirates target the Elcor's shipping as soon as it leaves orbit, but the Elcor deals with mercenary companies keep away all but the most foolhardy of attackers. It's actually a very sizable, almost 8 million people here. Interesting. Let's scan it. Good from a resource standpoint. So yeah, in that case, the only thing we'd potentially be interested in would be Element Zero, and there is some of it here. But it's not a terribly high amount. So maybe we just keep our eyes peeled, see if there's anything a little bit better from Element Zero standpoint, and this may be it. It is hard to come by. So I think we go for this.
Launching probe.
Give ourselves a little bit more of the EZO. And I imagine that anything else we're going to find, like, that's decent, yes, but definitely not as good as we might find in other planets that have a higher resource quality. But that's a pretty sizable chunk of EZO there. Make sure we got best amount here. That looks pretty solid. So at what? 22,000, we go up just less than 23,000, so almost 1,000 EZO there. It's actually a combination of EZO and Iridium, but mostly Iridium. And I don't really care that much about the Iridium. I care much more about the EZO. So, you know, actually get the EZO to go up. Great. If not, then we may pass here. I think we'll pass here. Got a little bit of EZO. And I think we have one more planet that is hiding right here next to the star. It is Logasiri, a step above a carbonaceous asteroid. Logasiri is a planet with a carbon-heavy crust and a trace atmosphere of CO2 and helium. Its surface is cool enough to have liquid water. Oh. But it is rapidly drying out, as it has lost the critical mass to have a self-sustaining hydrologic cycle. Nevertheless, the Batarians have colonized the world, forcing the slaves to work in their mines and agri-habitats. Labor is hot, endless, and backbreaking, even in its low-G environment. Every horror story told by slaves elsewhere in the cluster seems to be topped by one from Logasiri. Uh-oh. The most famous is that of a slaver, Selparon, who worked to death 420 slaves over the course of a galactic standard year, and ground up their bodies for compost in his greenhouses. He was eventually poisoned by his wife, but his shadow, and his business model, still hangs over the miserable planet. Oh. Okay. Moderate. So, also probably not a planet that we care too much about unless it has Element 0, and I'm not sure that it will. Just gonna do a quick scan. See if there are any indications of there being Element 0 at all. And, you know, like, again, half-decent deposits of other resources, but probably not anything the likes of which would be better than what we might find on a rich planet, and not seeing any signs of Element 0 here, so I think, for that reason, not much else for us to do here, and not much going on as a whole in this system. So, but I believe that is now everything in this area, so let's head on back. The Omega Nebula is now 100% explored, so that's great, and we have now completed the mission on that other planet.
Half capacity.
And we should have plenty of fuel here, I think, after all. Definitely want to restock here, but okay, that we can do. And why don't we buy another round of probes, because then we can get up to a perfect 30 out of 30 without any over-purchasing. Get back up to 1,000 fuel as well. That'll do. Okay. So, now what I'm thinking is if we're looking here, I'm wondering if there might be other areas of particular interest to us that we've not yet fully explored. Like, it's actually considerably more over here in the Serpent Nebula. Oh, I bet it's just because all we've done here thus far is find the Citadel, which is the only thing in that section, and then there's another system where we have Kasumi's loyalty mission, and might only be that one system, but since there are presumably numerous planets in there, the fact that we've only found the Citadel thus far makes it seem like we have only a tiny percentage that we have found, when that may be true, but there's only a little bit more in addition to what we already have. Oh, one other thing I wanted to do. Let's check out the local cluster, which you may recognize the name of from Mass Effect 1, and I think you will recognize it. Because, well, Pluto, Neptune, the lot, including Earth, which we aren't even allowed to scan. For detailed information, please refer to the Standard Issue Alliance Galactic Codex. Earth's orbit is riddled with debris generated by bootstrap space development. Use of kinetic barriers is recommended at altitudes over 85 kilometers. Population on the surface is now 11.4 billion, and population, including the L4 and L5 stations, that is 2,500. Or rather, 250,000. Let's see. So, can't scan it. There's nothing else to do there. But, we can scan Venus if we'd like. With its molten temperature, sulfuric acid clouds, and crushing carbon dioxide atmosphere, Venus has only a handful of aerostat research outposts. So it does have a population of 800, interestingly. But, does have good, surprisingly, good resources, but, that's not bad. Palladium there. But, still likely to find better stuff elsewhere. And the only reason why we like to go here would be if we happen to find Element 0, but don't think we are going to find that. Just giving it a little look. So that's Venus. Got Mercury in here, of course. A handful of solar power stations exist on the peaks of eternal light at the northern and south poles of Mercury. The difficulties imposed by the planet's proximity to the sun and high orbital velocity have limited development. But there are 340 people there, nonetheless, despite it being 430 degrees Celsius, at least on the surface. Scan here quickly, we'll see moderate in the way of resources here, so again, probably not something we're actually going to want to probe in, but interesting to see how the planets in our solar system stack up, comparatively speaking. That's actually that's not a bad source of iridium over there, but I think we're good. So that's Mercury. Then we have Mars. We go back outward. Once considered a prospect for terraforming and colonization, the discovery of faster-than-light travel turned Mars into a quiet backwater. Its southern pole is a historical preserve centered on the Prothean ruins found there. Immigration and development are restricted as the search for Prothean artifacts continues. So we can't scan here either. I was going to say this might be a place where we would expect to find some ESO because there have been some Prothean artifacts, but we're not allowed to do that. Then we have the asteroid belts. But, I don't think there's anything in here of particular note. That was just Mars, I think. So in that case, let's head on over to Jupiter, which is huge, and it must be a matter of perspective, right? With the planets further out looking much bigger than the things that are over on this side, because obviously, from this angle, Jupiter looks like it is larger than the Sun. Jupiter is huge, but it's not that huge. It is still a small fraction of the size of the Sun. Let's see. Jupiter's deep gravity well and lethal radiation have kept its moons from being significantly exploited. Largest outpost is Binary Helix Corporation's Nautilus facility attached to the underside of Europa's ice sheet. Population on all moons across them is 9,100. We can scan Jupiter. Has moderate resources, and that's a somewhat decent source of palladium. But, don't think we're gonna find too much of particular interest here. At least, nothing that we couldn't find a better source of from a planet that is rich in those resources. Then we head on out over to Saturn. Saturn has been a major source of helium-3 fuel for fusion plants since the 2150s. The moon of Titan is mined for hydrocarbons and used as a hostile environment training facility for Alliance Marines. Population on the orbitals and Titan is 117,000, and the capital is Huygens? No? Not sure how you pronounce that. We can scan Saturn, and it actually has good resources, so it's a little bit better, but still probably not worth launching any probes here, although that's not a bad source. In fact, that's a decent source of platinum, and the palladium and iridium is non-zero as well. That is something, even if usually we try to just maximize a single resource. But that's not terrible. Not terrible. I mean, I suppose that makes sense with it being a good planet, but still don't think it is particularly well. I mean, it's trying to tempt me with this whole double, or in some cases triple, resources situations, but again, generally think it is still more efficient. Try to maximize one resource. And then, after Saturn, let's see if we can track down the planet that we are here for. Why, you ask? You'll find out in just a second. After the development of Mass Effect FTL Drive, distant Uranus, or Uranus, was the target of a land rush to exploit its combination of plentiful helium-3 fuel and shallow, or gas giant, gravity well. Today, Uranus is the largest producer of helium-3 in Alliance space. Population means that it's actually 371,000, so that is pretty huge for what was, well, obviously, a planet that is pretty far away from the place where humans started out. But let's scan here. It is depleted. Uranus is depleted. So there is almost nothing here. Almost nothing at all. However, let's just say it might be worthwhile nonetheless for us to probe Uranus. So, how about we go for, I mean, what would you like? A tiny bit of palladium? Tiny bit of, I don't know. Tiny bit of iridium? Something like that? So let's do it.
Really, Commander?
Really, Commander? Oh, but I insist. But I insist.
Probing Uranus.
A true classic. A true classic. Okay, well, now that we've done that, sure, we'll check out Neptune. Though Neptune, like Uranus, has plentiful helium, its remoteness made it an unpromising target for mining before the development of Mass Effect Drive. With Uranus cheaper to exploit, it has never seen extensive development. The only permanent human presence is a small research facility on Triton, and that means only 70 people. In this case, poor resources, so, I mean, maybe slightly better than what we were looking at on the depleted Uranus, but, still not worth pursuing, I don't think. Then we have Pluto, way out here. Pluto is one of Sol's numerous ice dwarf worlds. It is mainly of note for being the gravitational anchor for the mass relay to Arcturus. Pluto and the Charon relay, formerly encased in ice and considered a moon, orbit each other. Pluto's orbit was circularized in 2157 as a side effect of the Charon mass relay recovery operations. And so, actually has a population of 9,300 at those gateway stations. If we scan it, it has moderate resources, and that's a somewhat sizable chunk of iridium, but I think probably still not something we're going to be looking to actually launch any probes in unless it happens to have a sizable chunk of ESO, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So why don't we pass up Pluto? Then we have the mass relay, and I think we will head on through that because, just wanted to take a quick pit stop. Uranus, what? Alright, then what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking here is, why don't we start heading over to the Eagle Nebula, where we are expecting to eventually recruit the Warlord, which I think is probably next on our agenda, at least in terms of main quest missions for recruitment. But, we may not go straight into that. We might instead focus on just exploring places first, if we find any side missions. Okay, so let's look around a bit here. Oh, well, that's just the mass relay. For a second, I thought there was some hidden thing there, but let's see. We've got Regas, probably. Cold and distant. Regas is currently 65% rock by mass and 35% frozen methane and nitrogen ice. The planet's summer years, these percentages change as the sun heats its ice and it evaporates into a thin atmosphere. Its calcium-heavy crust has been scouted by countless coreless surveying teams, most of whom came back empty-handed. Scan here, it is rich. So an actual planet that is worth scanning for actual resource extraction purposes. That's somewhat decent. Source of palladium, but might be able to do better still. Perhaps with other resources? Or just other locations. That may have more potential. I think it does. Let's nab this. At about 5,000 or 50,000. And yeah, so we got about 3,000 from that. That's a nice sizable chunk. Ooh, what do we have here? Nice source of iridium. Let's get this. So we're at about 59,000.
Probe launched.
Yeah, it's a little over 2,000 there. How's this looking? Doesn't seem quite as good as the one we were just looking at. Does give us a little bit of palladium as well, but that may not be reason enough. Whereas this looks a little bit better. Let's get to, where was it? A little bit of a higher peak there. Is that good enough? Or no? Perhaps not. That might be better. That might be better. For platinum? Oh, now the planet is only good. Okay. We might want to stop there in that case. That's not bad, though. It's not bad. But if it's only good, then in theory, we've got plenty of rich planets all over the place. So presumably we can still do better. Alright, so Corliss is over there, where we'll eventually recruit the Warlord. I'm not necessarily sure that we want to do that just yet. Let's see if there are other smaller things we can do first, because I think we're somewhat close to getting just enough experience to get one more level, even without doing a main quest mission. So that'd be great if we could do that and just, crank out one more level, get a little bit more powerful before we do that. Let's see, we've got Quotus A hydrogen-helium gas giant, Quotus is used by countless spaceships to discharge their drive cores after coming into the system. Commercial vessels restock on their supplies of helium-3 from one of its many orbital platforms. Travel advisory. Piracy at helium-3 refueling stations is common in the Emir system. Visitors are encouraged to use the escorts provided by the Corliss security fleet to and from the system's mass relay. To prevent escort fraud, always ask for identification from the escort ships and compare them to those found on Corliss security fleet's extranet sites. And just moderate here with the resources, so unless we've got EZO, which I don't expect us to have, I think we're probably good here. Let's see, just doing a quick scan of the southern part of the planet, do a quick scan of the upper part of the planet, but no little peaks there for EZO at all. I mean, we've got, yes, a platinum source, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to warrant using it there. So, not terribly interesting that time around. This is Corliss here. We are expecting to have this main quest mission, of course. We can land here. Corliss is a garbage scow with a climate, was how one Citadel Council member described Corliss at the turn of the century. And ever since then, the Corliss Tourist Bureau has been attempting to rebrand their planet. Yeah, it's maybe not the best reputation to have. It hasn't worked. Though they have tried calling it the recycling center of the galaxy, corruption scandals and a staggering murder rate ensure that Corliss's image is permanently stained. Corliss's biggest business is the recycling of decommissioned or junked spacecraft into their component parts. While the invention of Omnigel has made this process significantly cleaner, it is still a dirty business that chokes Corliss's sky with smog and fills its ports with megatons of scrap. A shady hospitality industry and a scavenger underclass round out the spectacle of urban decay. Travel advisory. Corliss ranks second in the murder per capita in the Terminus systems and first in off-world murder. Lovely. Second to what? Maybe Omega? Civilian traffic is encouraged to employ security professionals when visiting. Population is 3.8 million, though, at least estimated. That is a lot. The capital is disputed. Alright, let's, we can't scan it. We will eventually land there, of course, but as I was saying, I think we want to try to see if there are any other side quests we can do to hopefully get just enough experience to level up before we start up that mission. Let's see, we have Osalri, Cobus Solarian, Fire Maiden, is a boiling hot dwarf planet close to the G-class star Emir. Too hot for lucrative exploitation, its only satellites are defunct solar arrays destroyed by pirates long ago. And it only has moderate resources here. Seems as though this system as a whole, not great when it comes to those resources. So again, just looking for potential EZO deposits, but not seeing any initially here. And I don't think we got any description to suggest that we would run into them. That's like not a terrible source of that there, but I think we're probably good here. Don't think I'm seeing anything. I mean, again, like we're gonna find the occasional source of half-decent other resources, but probably not good enough to warrant launching an actual probe. Okay, so let's try checking out these other systems because there are actually several of them. Relic, Amon, Malgus. Just those three, or are there any more over in this direction? There are. So yeah, this is actually quite large, it would seem. South? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so let's see. Are we doing okay from fuel standpoint? Did we reload recently? Yeah, we refilled. Okay, let's pop out here for a second and just see how close these various systems are. See what our best course of action might be. It looks like Strabo is kind of out in the middle of nowhere by itself, so that might be best to have as its own separate trip. So I'm thinking maybe we hit the ones that are close together here, like Relic and Amon and maybe even Malgus, then head back to refuel in the Emir system where we currently are, and then make our move for Strabo. There we go. Okay, let's check this out. Looks kind of big. That is an interesting, like, purplish planet with rings. We'll get there. First, we have Beach Thunder, which is a pretty cool name. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Thunder on your beach, I suppose, maybe makes it a little bit harder to swim. Beach Thunder lives and dies on the price of titanium, the metal being the only reason to come to this frozen rock. The best-selling e-novel, The Hard Stuff, has popularized the story of the miners on the planet. It follows the Hanar and the Drell robo-miners competing with the Krogan and Vorcha, who simply put on environment suits and lace the titanium out for more or less by hand. As the novel's promotional screed says, accidents are frequent, rivalry is fierce, and vengeance served up fast. Alright, and yeah, it said that there were some valuable metals here. Means we may have some luck. It is a rich resource planet. Of course, I think it was, what, titanium they were describing? And that is not one of our resources that we keep here. But that looks like a whole lot of iridium. That looks pretty scale-breaking to me. So I say we nab that.
Launching probe.
And it's still listed as rich. Let's keep our eyes peeled, see if there are any other good sources. Like potentially this. Like potentially this. Oh my goodness. Yep, very good for iridium, as it turns out.
Launching probe.
Okay, it's still listed as rich, so, hold on. Does seem like iridium is the name of the game here. That's definitely not nearly as good as what we were seeing before. Keep our eyes peeled here. This planet does look quite good. Some of this stuff, although again, not quite as good as what we were seeing before. I think that's a pretty comprehensive look at the lower half of the planet. Let's go up higher. If we find anything interesting over here. Yes. Yes, indeed. Try to get this good spot. Right about there. Even more iridium.
Away.
At this one, it might get downgraded from rich to lower. No, it still says rich. I mean, iridium apparently grows on trees here. Although platinum may as well. So this is a good example of. This is the type of planet that we really. I
Probe launched.
accidentally launched that probe, but that was where we wanted to do it anyway. But this is the type of planet where you really want to be focusing on launching your probes, because that's, you know, some great stuff there for several different resources, and the type of return that you can get from deliberately mining or probing a really good planet. And so that's an efficient use of probes there compared to some of the other stuff we've done in the past, where it's, you know, probably stretched it. We didn't need to probe some of the other ones before. It was on the edge as to whether it was worth it or not, and, you know, if you keep on probing the ones that are borderline, then long term, of course, you're probably going to overinvest in getting those resources. Whereas you can definitely be pickier if you deliberately target just those really good, rich sources like that. Then we have Praying Mouth. It seems like all the planets in this system have really cool names. Hydrogen helium gas giant, which has an amazing color scheme. Praying Mouth is a ship-killing enigma. Oh, Bermuda Triangle of the Terminus systems? Yikes. There are many theories why ships never return from there. Undetectable space debris, old disruptor torpedoes, and magnetic mines from long-forgotten war, even miniature black holes. But what is clear is that too many ships have been lost there for it to be happenstance. Travel advisory. Due to the large number of ships lost when attempting to discharge their drive cores in Praying Mouth, the Relic system highly recommends using first-hand complementary discharge stations instead. First land. Let's see. Only moderate resources here, and oh, but look at that. It does have some EZO though, and as we've said in the past, EZO hard to come by. It's not an amazing source, but there are not very many amazing sources of EZO. So well, that does perhaps answer some questions about what is going on here. That looks maybe a little bit better. That's definitely a little bit better. That may be worth picking up. Right there, looks like that's best. So yeah, EZO generally has not shown up on any of the big resource planets, although we did actually see one a little while back, so suppose it is not quite as out of the question as we might have initially thought it was. This looks cool too. Rough Tide. A dwarf planet with a shroud of carbon monoxide and dioxide that keeps it warm. Rough Tide was so named when large veins of platinum and palladium, those are resources that we can acquire, were struck, and miners from all over the cluster came in to stake their claims. Hanar police and their Drell enforcers clashed with Krogan and Fortia in an ugly series of race riots in the late 2170s, and the planet has only grudgingly kept a shaky peace since then. So yeah, I was gonna say, have to imagine this will be rich in that case. So let's keep our eyes peeled. So I do have high hopes. That's good. Maybe not quite as ridiculously well. Let's not kid ourselves. We should launch a probe here.
Probe away.
We might be able to get slightly better than that. That's all I'm saying. Like that. Like that. Let's see. So for platinum, we're on what? 47,700. This is going to be a pretty huge chunk, I would think. This would likely get us above 50,000. Yes. Yes, it will. We now afford the Medbay upgrade research project, that being the one that heals our scars, but I still don't think that's worth doing, and that is ridiculously expensive there. That only now we can afford it. Half decent, yes. But I think not at the same order of magnitude that we saw from our other probes we were launching. I mean, that's not bad. It's definitely not bad. But let's see if we can do better. I was looking for a second there. Yeah, that looks... Oh, that might be the same spot. Is that the same exact spot? It might be. Okay. Thank you, Uriel. So, the question about, do squad mates actually have ammo or not? They don't run out of ammo, but it does affect how quickly or how many times they can fire before they need to reload. That is helpful. That is good to know. Thank you. That looks interesting. It's not like... Well, I was going to say it's not scale-breakingly high, but it did have 2 resources that were at a decent amount. That is perhaps pretty darn good with Palladium, though.
Probe away.
Even some Iridium there as well. Right now, it's downgraded to good, which would normally make me think that we might not have any other good sources, but that's pretty solid platinum there.
Probe launched.
Now I think we call it quits on this planet. It goes all the way down to moderate, because yeah, despite it being good, it seemed like the vast majority of the remaining resources were there in that spot. Okay, so let's head on out there, and let's see what we have next on our list. This big guy. Island Wind. A large hydrogen-nitrogen gas giant, Island Wind is named for the sweet-smelling land breezes that come off the archipelago of Kage in the evening. Which is what, the Hanar homeworld? As tumultuous as any other Jovian giant, Island Wind has cyclones that span tens of thousands of kilometers. Yikes. Okay, this is moderate resources, so chances are we're probably not going to be looking to get anything here. Just look to see if it happens to have sizable chunks of Ezo, but I am doubtful. I do not expect we will run into that, so I'm thinking this is probably going to be a quick pass here. Yeah, not seeing any obvious signs of Ezo, so let's carry on. But I maintain, this system may very well have the coolest names. First Land. This is the place we heard about previously. People were saying this is where you should, discharge your drive cores? Hydrogen-helium gas giant believed to be an extrasolar capture. First Land is home to many space stations supporting the ubiquitous refueling platforms. A thriving community of Drell and Hanar make their homes in orbit here, giving the solar system's robo-miners somewhere to go when the 50-hour days and nights are driving them mad. That is a long day. Heard a lot about Hanar and Drell, which we haven't really heard much about Drell before, but Hanar we, of course, have seen in Mass Effect 1. And like I said, I think Kage is their homeworld, but I'm not actually sure where that is. Interesting. The longer their clip size, the longer they will stay out of cover to fire, and therefore, the easier it is for them to die. That's interesting. That's good to consider, for sure. Alright, moderate here, so probably not gonna stick around here for long again, unless it happens to have element 0. But yeah, that is definitely something that I've noticed at times where it seems like some of our squad mates have had death wishes, where they just stand out of cover and get absolutely annihilated We're like, can you please just hide here for a minute and not immediately die? That would be lovely. And yeah, some half-decent sources here, but no obvious signs of Ezo, so let's carry on. I think we can get better stuff elsewhere. And two pretty big planets, pretty darn close to this star. Vidful Current. Vidful Current was so named because it orbits in retrograde, indicating that it may have been an extrasolar planet, second in this system, or at least theorized second in this system, that was captured by the Relic system's gravity well. Large for a rock planet, Vidful Current has only traces of hydrogen in its extremely thin atmosphere. Hanar robo-miners have recovered some uranium and thorium deposits from its depths. I mean, does that mean there's good resources here? Because there may be. By the looks of things. That's not bad. That is not bad for iridium. And we do have a ton of iridium. So we are being overall very aggressive when it comes to our probe usage here. So I've not double checked as to exactly how much we need of any given resource before, you know, we can check it off and say, yeah, we have enough here. We'll just get the remaining resources needed from just completing quests, because of course, as we've seen, completing missions will oftentimes give us some sizable chunks at times of resources. We may be approaching that point. We theorized about it a little bit, I mean, early on, but of course that was very early on. We were just saying short term we were perhaps going to be good to go with many of those things, but now we're at good, so I think we're probably passing on this planet now. But we've been pretty darn aggressive with our probes thus far, and we've been doing it for a long enough time at this point that, you know, I'll make a point to check in soon as to just how close we may be to getting to acquiring all the resources we need through scanning. But other than that, of course, there's still the potential to scan specific quests if we catch any anomalies here, although we don't see any at the moment. Murky Water, another cool name, although perhaps not a place that you're particularly keen on staying if that's what it's named for. Despite the name, though, Murky Water has yet to show any signs of having water whatsoever. Excuse me. Its name is a literal translation from the original Hanar, who consider murky water a sign of danger. Murky water has a hazy, crushing atmosphere of carbon dioxide and methane, which brings the surface heat to boiling levels. It remains unexploited, its gravity and temperature too high to bother. Well, more resources for us? Potentially? I mean, preferably something other than iridium, because that does seem like more than anything the thing that we've been picking up in crazy quantities. That's decent for palladium, but maybe, no, yes, no, maybe, possibly, arguably good enough, but perhaps not. Let's see if we can do better. Maybe slightly better? Not entirely sure. Also decent, but not fantastic. Looking for, like, scale breaking, and that's maybe the closest we've come to it. Again, iridium, a lot of it, but it does come with some platinum as well, which is, you know, maybe enough of a tiebreaker when the iridium by itself may be borderline. Add the platinum to it, and maybe that's good enough. That's what we're looking for, though. That's what we want. That's what we want. That's huge. Alright, now it's just good. Chances are there won't be any of those huge sources left anymore. But I'm glad we did make a point of sticking around long enough to catch that other one, because that was pretty huge. This of equal substance? Not really. Not really. Not bad, though. Not bad. Alright, but again, we've been pretty aggressive with our probes thus far, so I think we pass on that. But no quests here in the Relic system, just some really cool names and some decent resources.